Hey everyone, Josh Thomas from TheBitBlock here to bring you through our video review for Mario & Luigi Dream Team on the Nintendo 3DS. So the story here basically involves the residents of the Mushroom Kingdom heading off on an exotic vacation to Pillow Island. It's sort of set up a bit poorly, in my opinion, and honestly, I wasn't too keen on much of the storytelling here. The overall plot seems kind of weak and random, but thankfully, some of the writing is a bit funny and clever. Naturally, it doesn't take too long before their dream vacation turns into a nightmare. Princess Peach is bizarrely sucked into a dream cloud, and it's up to Mario and Luigi to save her. How? Well, by jumping into Luigi's dreams while he takes a nap. Of course. So Dream Team is really true to exactly what you'd expect from a role-playing game. There's loads of crazy turn-based battles, big worlds to explore, and lots of dialogue to read. In fact, well, the game has far too much dialogue to read. Between the non-stop tutorials and characters never keeping a thought to themselves, it all becomes overwhelming and, frankly, kind of annoying. There's definitely something to be said about less being more. Storytelling and teaching a player how to play can be done in much more effective ways than bombarding them with dialogue boxes. Just like every entry in the series, you'll control both Mario and Luigi at the same time. This usually results in some fun overworld gameplay, as well as interesting combat moves during battle. Using both characters at once is pretty easy to understand and get the hang of. And speaking of battles, if you're the type who really loves all the typical intricacies that come with leveling up every aspect of your characters and wearing different types of gear, there is plenty to keep you happy here. I was a bit turned off by just how long some of these battles can really go on for, though. I know selecting proper moves and whatnot can result in taking your foes down sooner, but even then, they kind of drag on too long. Even basic scrub enemies can put up way too much of a fight before they go down. The Dream World is an important part of the gameplay here. They're essentially side-scrolling stages where you can activate special events by grabbing Luigi's mustache to fling Mario around, or tickling his nose to make him sneeze and create wind. It's pretty bizarre, but in a really great way. There are a few more ways to interact with him, but I don't want to give away too much. Now, in theory, the idea of going into Luigi's dreams sounds really intriguing. But personally, I feel the Dream Worlds could have been pushed much further. The worlds feel sort of generic and uninspired, especially considering how crazy and interesting they really could have been. It is pretty great, though, working side by side with a whole bunch of Dream Luigis. The visuals in Dream Team are maybe the biggest improvement in the entire game, in my opinion. This time around, the worlds are modeled in full 3D, which makes exploring even more interesting. I really love the look and the feel of this game's art style. I would have really preferred the characters to also be 3D models rather than 2D sprites. They appear just a bit blurry and maybe somewhat out of place in the 3D world. Speaking of 3D, the effect isn't too great in Dream Team. It doesn't really pop outside of the battles, and even then, it's definitely one of those games you'll probably want to play in 2D mode. The soundtrack here is kind of hit and miss. There's music that definitely sounds really great, and then there's music that sounds, well, really bland. Also, I've noticed the game's audio seems a bit blown out, as if it's playing too loudly. The voice samplings used for Mario and Luigi are really silly, and honestly, nothing is quite as amusing as hearing Italian gibberish from these guys. This is a pretty lengthy game to complete, probably around 30 hours in fact. However, I don't know, I didn't really feel like there is 30 hours of enjoyable gameplay. The game suffers from some pretty bad pacing issues, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if at least half of your playtime consists of scrolling through tutorials, story dialogue, and going on backtracking fetch quests. Dream Team has a lot to learn when it comes to teaching the player proper skills, as well as telling story without stopping them from having fun in the process. For example, Paper Mario Sticker Star might not be 30 hours long, but at least that title adapted itself wonderfully to being on a handheld. Dream Team just doesn't feel nearly as fun or interesting to me personally. Overall, Mario & Luigi is certainly not a bad game. It definitely has its moments, but it fails to really do anything new with the series. It just feels like an alternate version of what we've already played before. It takes far too long to get going, and it seems like just when you're about to really start getting into the game, a new tutorial or more story dialogue pops up to stop you. And, side note, as a ballet dancer myself, I didn't exactly find this bit of dialogue too amusing. If you're not tired of the same formula, and you're willing to put up with pointless tutorials, then Dream Team will likely be enjoyable for you. But if you're looking for something fresh that heads off in a totally new direction, well, you just won't really find it here. When it comes to RPGs on the 3DS, I personally strongly prefer Sticker Star. The BitBlock is rating Mario & Luigi Dream Team with a 7 out of 10.